Hiring is a lonely business. Posting jobs, sifting through resumes, interviews with unqualified applicants, being ghosted. What if you could link with dozens of qualified candidates who are ready to work right now with just one connection? We're Express Employment Professionals, your full-service workforce solution. Every day, Express recruits qualified candidates in your area. So when it's time to hire, they have the talent you need ready to go to work. With more than 40 years in the staffing business and more than 860 locally owned and operated offices, Express helps thousands of companies find great people each year. And they can help you, too. Don't go it alone. Go to expresspros.com. One connection, great candidates, problem solved. expresspros.com, the workforce you need when you need them. That's Express Employment Professionals. Find us at expresspros.com.
A gunfight that changed history. A pregnant woman who saves the day. A sandwich war that becomes deadly. And a cybercrime story where the victim's family solved a murder mystery. This and so much more right here on today's Charlie Crimebuster. Well, good day and welcome to Charlie Crimebuster. Glad to have you on the show today. Our first story comes from Hillsborough, Florida. A pregnant woman fatally shot a home intruder with an AR-15 to save the lives of her husband and daughter just a couple of weeks ago. Now, according to the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office, two intruders entered the hero mother's household there in Hillsborough County on October the 30th around 9 p.m. And as soon as they came face-to-face with her husband, whose name is Jeremy King, they pointed guns at him. They demanded money. Then they proceeded to violently grab their daughter. They came in heavily hooded and masked. That's what King told Bay News 9. And as soon as they got to the back door and they got it open, they had a pistol on me, and they were grabbing my 11-year-old daughter. Now, although he, King, pleaded with intruders, saying they did not have any money on them, well, one of the men started pistol whipping him, while the other started kicking him in the head. Meanwhile, his wife, who was 8 months pregnant, by the way, and whose name they're withholding, she peered from the bedroom at the back to check out the source of the commotion. That was when one of the men shot at her. She retreated to the room, grabbed an AR-15 rifle, and returned fire. When he came toward the back door in her line of sight, she clipped him. That's what King said. He made it from my back door to roughly 200 feet out in the front ditch before the AR did its thing. Now, the body of one of the intruders was found by investigators in a ditch nearby. The second intruder, he fled the scene after the fatal shot was fired. The police have since determined that the firearm which the intruder was shot was legally owned. Now, King said he took a severe beating before his wife saved him. I've got a fractured eye socket, a fractured sinus cavity, a concussion, 20 stitches, and 3 staples in my head, King said. He goes on to say, and I'm quoting him now, "Them guys came in with 2 normal pistols, and my AR stopped it. My wife evened the playing field and kept them from killing me." Now, if you'd like to see a picture of his smashed-up face, well, you can go to charliecrimebuster.com. We have a picture of him right after the crime, and we have it in our news feed for you to see. Or you can go to Charlie Crimebuster on Facebook, and you can see it in the news feed there as well. But my friend, let me say to you, this idea of being outgunned by the bad guys, well, it came to be a reality first back in April of 1986. You see, that's when cops were carrying revolvers instead of pistols. I remember this as a young man. I was actually sitting at the home of an FBI agent in Johnson City, Tennessee, when this horrific day for the FBI, it changed the way law enforcement armed themselves to this very day. It was a gunfight that occurred on April 11th, 1986. It was there in a region of Miami-Dade County in South Florida. It has since, in 1996, been incorporated as Pinecrest between 8 FBI agents and 2 serial bank robbers and murderers. Now, during the firefight, Special Agents Jerry Dove and Benjamin Grogan were killed. 5 other agents were wounded. The 2 robbery suspects, William Russell Mattox and Michael Lee Platt, they were also killed. This incident is infamous in FBI history, and it also is well studied in law enforcement circles. You see, despite outnumbering the suspects 4-1, these agents found themselves pinned down by semi-automatic rifle fire, and they were unable to respond effectively. You see, Maddox and Platt were hit multiple times during the shootout. Platt fought on and continued to wound and kill agents. This incident led to the introduction of more effective handguns in the FBI and in many police departments across the United States. Now, prior to embarking on their crime spree, neither Platt nor Mattox had a criminal record. Even at the time of Platt's killing, his wife had no idea that her husband and friend Mattox were bank robbers. In the end, he was a father to an infant son that he had never met. Now, it started out in October of that year. They killed a man and they stole his car, and then they committed several robberies. They tried to rob a Wells Fargo armored truck in front of a Winn-Dixie supermarket. There, they shot a guard with a shotgun. That guard later died. They robbed a teller station outside a branch of a Florida National Bank, and they continued to rob, attacking a Brinks armored truck. As you can imagine, this did put them on the list for the FBI to get involved. Now, at 8:45 a.m. on Friday, April 11th, 1986, a team of FBI agents, they assembled at a Home Depot to initiate what they would call a rolling stakeout searching for a black Monte Carlo that a witness had seen the perpetrators in. Now, the agents did not know the identity of the suspects at this time. They didn't know who they were, but they were acting on a hunch that that pair would attempt a robbery that very morning. So around 9:30 a.m., Agents Grogan and Dove, they spotted the suspected vehicle. They began to follow it. 2 other stakeout team cars joined them, and eventually they attempted to make a traffic stop on them. Now, these collisions, as they tried to stop them, they collided with them. They sent the suspect car nose first into a tree in a small parking area in front of a house on Southwest 82nd Avenue there. That initial collision forced the suspects off the road. It caused some unforeseen problems also for the FBI agents, because these FBI vehicles, they sustained damage from the heavier, older car driven by Mattox. Now let's get to the shootout. The shootout involved 10 people, 2 suspects, and 8 FBI agents. Of the 10, only one of the agents did not fire any shots. You see, his firearm was thrown from the car in the initial collision. And there was only one agent also that was able to come from this battle without a wound. Now, the shootout lasted under 5 minutes, yet 145 shots were exchanged. Now, 2 agents have been killed, 5 wounded, even though the FBI had these guys outnumbered. 10-1, not counting the police that arrived before the gunfight was over. And contrary to what some people thought, you see, they thought these guys, for them to continue to fight through all of this gunfire, well, they had to be hyped up on some sort of drugs. Well, the test showed that the abilities of Platt and Mattox to fight through multiple traumatic gunshot wounds, to continue the battle, and to attempt to escape, well, they were not achieved through any chemical means. You see, both of their bodies were drug-free at the time of their deaths. Now, in the aftermath, the FBI investigated, and they placed partial blame for the agents' deaths on the lack of stopping power by the service handguns. You see, while a few of the agents were equipped with 9mm semi-automatic pistols, most of the agents owned revolvers, which did make up the majority of weapons involved in the fight. The FBI soon began to search for a more powerful caliber cartridge to issue to all agents. Also, they noticed the difficulties of reloading a revolver while under fire. And then the FBI specified that agents should be armed with magazine-fed semi-automatic pistols. And that incident contributed to the increasing trend of law enforcement agencies switching from revolvers to pistols across the nation. And you know today's, the cop carries, most of them, a Glock pistol. Now, there were other issues that were brought up in the aftermath of the shooting. Despite being on the lookout for 2 violent felons who were known to use firearms during the crimes, well, only 2 of the FBI vehicles contained shotguns. One of them had a shotgun in his car, but he was unable to reach it. He couldn't reach it before or during the shootout. And none of the agents were armed with a rifle. The point of all this was this. The good guys were outgunned. Now our departments all carry pistols instead of revolvers. Why? Well, 2 reasons. Number 1, to protect lives, their own lives. And number 2, to be able to stop the bad guys. So why do most people have concealed weapons today? Well, almost to a person, they will tell you, for the same reasons. They want to protect themselves and their loved ones. They want to help other people. And to take the AR-15 or any other rifle away from good people is to take out the opportunity to stand up for the bad guys who may as well have you outgunned. Now think with me. If the FBI, who have some of the greatest training in the world, if they could not stand up to the bad guys because they were outgunned, what makes you think that you and I or anyone else could if they too were outgunned? Now I do realize that police do not all go around with AR-15s, but they are made readily available when the need calls for it. So let me ask you, why can't good people as well have them readily available for them should they choose to, in order to, number 1, protect themselves and loved ones as well? You see, friend, I believe the AR-15 and other rifles like it should not be banned because it saves lives, as we indicated in the feature story of this lady who saved her family who were under attack, a home invasion. And in a moment, I want to give you another example with a good person, this time a man used a rifle, not a handgun, but a rifle to save others in a well-known mass shooting. But before we get to that, let me ask you a question. Are you aware of the crime spree? The crime spree that's tied to a chicken sandwich? I guess we could call it the Popeyes chicken sandwich crime spree, which just might make Popeye the Sailor Man turn over in his grave if he knew that people were involved in a sandwich to die for, tied to the name of Popeye, and even though it was a restaurant and not a sailor man that the name is tied to. Now, there have been a number of disturbances, including fights, car damage through the drive-thru over this new phenomenon of the Popeye chicken sandwich wave. But the most serious happened in Maryland. In Maryland, Popeye's customers stabbed to death in row over chicken sandwich after one of them cut in a line at a Maryland restaurant. This story comes to us from Oxon Hill, Maryland. In a violent altercation at Popeye's, a customer was reportedly stabbed to death over a chicken sandwich. The fight is said to have started after someone cut in line at the store. And according to Fox 5, the incident took place in the chain's outlet at the 6200 block of Livingston Road in Oxon Hill, Maryland, back on Monday, November the 4th. The customer was allegedly stabbed in the parking lot, and an eyewitness said that the dude cut the line. He cut the line, following in which they went outside, and the dude got stabbed. The witness also said that the people in the store couldn't leave because they had to make sure there's no blood on the road. The hyped Popeye's chicken sandwich made it to the menu back on Sunday, and then fast food fans lined up to get their hands on it. It had been unavailable for more than 9 weeks. Tempers flared across many outlets in the country as people waited in long lines to get a bite of that sandwich. Social media videos showed the frenzy. In Harlem, New York, a customer is seen screaming at the staff after ordering 10 sandwiches. He screamed at them because they were taking too long to give him the order. In Edgewood, Maryland, a physical fight broke out over the sandwich. In Tallahassee, Florida, the staff seemed to be unable to deal with the madness and fighting between customers. Now, our franchises have worked to increase staffing. That's what Restaurant Brands, the parent company of Popeyes, said in a statement. before the sandwich that sells for $3.99 was back. They went on to say, quote, "We've been working diligently to bring the sandwich back to our restaurant soon, as we know our guests are anxiously anticipating its return." They went on to say the safety and health of our employees and patrons is always our priority. That's what they told Daily Mail in a statement this past Monday week. Well, while officials are being called out to some Popeyes across the country, officials in Oklahoma now, they're dealing with a different type of problem. Because in Oklahoma now, there's a new law. There's a new law now that allows most Oklahomans to carry a gun without a license. That's right, don't even have to have a license now in Oklahoma. That went into effect last Friday. So let me ask you a question. How does this impact policing? Well, they asked Public Information Officer Police Lynn Hamlin. They said, what's going on here? There's going to be growing pains, she says, because this is so different than any law we've had in the past regarding firearms. You see, people are able to carry a gun, barring any legal restrictions, without a permit. Hamlin went on to explain that police must now adapt to a new change in the law, starting with educating the department and educating the public as well as police departments across the country. She said the departments are expecting calls to come in about seeing people in public with guns, which they will when they see people walking around with a gun, whether it's a long gun or a pistol. That's not normal for them, she said. When they receive those calls, she explained, people are going to expect the police to come out. She said then it's on the dispatch to educate the public about what can't and can be done during those type of calls. They're going to ask questions like this. Are they pointing the firearm at someone? Are they recklessly handling the firearm? You see, those are the questions that determine if it initiates law enforcement coming out, making contact with them. Now, Hamlin also goes on to say, she says that she believes those calls will die down as time passes. And the police are urging people looking to exercise their new right to get the proper training before buying a gun. So it is us here at Charlie Crime Buster. We're going to join that warning, and we're going to warn everybody out there. If you carry a weapon, be smart about it. Get the kind of training that you need. Make sure you are safe with your weapon and that you only use it when it's absolutely necessary to save your life and protect you or others from serious crime, or that it is a situation that is a life and death situation. And you must find the time to get training so that you can carry smart and carry safe. Now, here on Charlie Crime Buster, we also try to give you some cybercrime tips from time to time. And we've often talked to people about being really careful if you find yourself involved in online dating. Here is a New Jersey woman meeting a man from the internet. She texted him after she met him, and they were getting ready to meet together. She said this question, "You're not a serial killer, right?" 10 days later, she was found dead. You see, when Sarah Butler, 20 years of age, agreed to meet up with a man she talked to on social media network, tagged on November the 19th, she messaged him and she asked, "You're not a serial killer, right?" Well, unbeknown to Butler, the man she was speaking with, and she texted and said, "You're not a serial killer, right?" Well, he had Googled date rape drugs less than 2 hours earlier than that text. And Butler, unfortunately, was found dead 10 days later in New Jersey's Eagle Rock Reservation, hidden underneath a pile of leaves and sticks. That's what the North Jersey Record reported. Now, those details were a testimony from a police officer Thursday at the trial of Wheeler Weaver, who is pleaded not guilty to three murder charges and one attempted murder charge. You see, the prosecutors allege that Wheeler Weaver waged a killing spree during the fall of 2016, strangling Butler as well as Robin West, 19, and Joanne Brown, 33. They also accused him of trying to kill a fourth person, identified as only by the initials TT. Now, according to the North Jersey Record, authorities in court on Thursday, they detailed a whole bunch of disturbing internet searches Wheeler Weaver had made, including this: how to make homemade poisons to kill humans, and what chemical could you put on a rag and hold to someone's face and make them go to sleep immediately. Well, Wheeler Weaver also searched for believe it or not, police entrance exam practice test, apparently to learn how to become a police officer. That's what they said. Well, the police, they said they tracked Wheeler's phone and that it was placed him at the address of an abandoned building that was set on fire, and that's where West's body was found in September of 2016. Prosecutors also said phone records showed that Wheeler Weaver also drove away but circled back so he could watch firefighters put out the blaze. And they said last month that one fatal mistake that he made was choosing Butler as a victim. Because you see, the woman's grieving family, members and friends, they found her online conversations with Wheeler Weaver, and they created a fake tag profile. They lured him to a new meeting, and this time the police were there to meet him. And Mr. Weaver was arrested on December the 6th, 2016. Sarah's friends and family are the heroes of this case. That's what Adam Wells of the county assistant prosecutor said in court. Now on our website, under our resource page at Charlie Crime Buster, you're going to find a new resource guide on how to stay safe with online dating. Let me encourage you, take a look at this. Keep it for you to share with your friends or relatives who may be engaging in online dating, or use it yourself. That's charliecrimebuster.com. Go to the resource page, and that's where you're going to find it. And by the way, we are distributing this particular broadcast or podcast on Monday, which is Veterans Day. And if you're listening this day or any other time, we at Charlie Crime Buster, we want to say thank you to the brave men and women who serve our country in uniform. There is no gratitude, no words in which we can express the gratitude for the brave men and women who served, and especially for the families who gave it all when they lost a loved one who was fighting for our freedom. And for those who wear another uniform, the law enforcement uniform, we also have resources for you on our Charlie Crime Buster spot. A helpline for police officers going through crisis. Let me encourage you, take the time, just like you would call for backup on the street if you needed it. Call for backup in life, because there are people that are there ready to help you navigate through whatever problem you may be facing in your life. The crisis is real. Stress is enormous in law enforcement today, and if you find yourself needing help, please take time to call the crisis hotline to get the help that you need. Our feature story this week involves a lady who saved her family with an AR-15. And our question is, should the AR-15 and other guns like it be banned? There was a church in Sutherland Springs, Texas. The gunman was identified by authorities as Devin Patrick. You probably remember this. Devin Patrick Kelly shot and killed 26 people. And had it not been by two bystanders, he might have killed more. You see, after leaving the church where victims aged 5 to 72 lay dead, the shooter was met with gunshots in the parking lot. Officials say a neighbor identified as Stephen Wilford. He grabbed his rifle after hearing the sound of gunfire, ran across the street barefoot, and shot the attacker. Now, there was also another Texan there who joined Wilford in a car chase, ending when the gunman drove off the road. He just hurt so many people. He affected so many lives. One of the men who pursued the shooter in his truck told reporters, "Why wouldn't you want to take him down?" And Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton, for example, he's told Fox News that professional security or armed worshipers might have prevented the shooting. He goes on to say the reality is if somebody's willing to kill someone, changing gun laws doesn't affect that person. What you have to do is you have to allow citizens to protect himself. And so Wilford, as you know, quickly became an example for pro-gun advocates, to the point that when defending their argument that the best defense against a mass shooting is a better armed and better trained civilian populace that's ready to defend itself anytime and anywhere. But while not as common to the overall number of mass shootings in the United States, Wilford is certainly not the first good guy with a gun to stop a mass shooters. Experts disagree on how the number of mass shootings stopped, or how many civilians have actually stopped, and how you count them. Do off-duty police officers count as civilians? What about military members? And how many people need to be killed or injured for it to be considered a mass shooting? But there are a number of incidents over the last years where armed bystanders helped prevent further tragedy. Here's just a couple examples. Back in 1997, the assistant principal of Mississippi's Pearl High School, Joe Myrick, used a .45 caliber semi-automatic pistol that he kept in his truck, and he detained 16-year-old Luke Woodham after the teenager stabbed and bludgeoned to death his mother at home, and then killed 2 students and injured 7 others at the high school. A decade later, Matthew Murray killed 4 people at Colorado Springs Church before he was shot by a church member and a volunteer security guard. In April of that year, an Uber driver with a concealed carry permit shot and wounded a gunman who opened fire on a crowd of people in Chicago's Logan Square. And on a September day, an usher at a Tennessee church used his personal firearm to subdue a masked gunman who had already killed 1 woman in the church parking lot and injured 6 others inside. You see, there's a second reason why we should not ban the AR-15 and other guns like it, and that is that the number of gun deaths are not rising because of the AR-15. You see, while statistics reveal that a high number of gun deaths in the United States, this statistic does not take into account the nation's growing population. You see, on a per capita basis, there were 12 gun deaths per 100,000 in the recent time that these statistics were taken. The highest rate was more than 2 decades, but still well below the 16.3 gun deaths per 100 people in 1974. That's when the highest rate on the online database says. Back in 1974, we had more people killed per capita than we do today. Now, the gun murder and gun suicide rates in the United States are both lower today than in the mid-1970s. You see, there were 4.6 gun murders per 100,000 people in 2017. That was far below the 7.2 per 100,000 that was recorded in 1974. And the rate of gun suicide, 6.9 per 100,000 people in 2017, it remained below 7.7 a 100,000 measured in 1977. You see, my friend, we've got to understand that even though there are people that die by guns, we are seeing a decrease per capita out there. And even though you and I may not know all the ins and outs of why that's taking place, we do know this, that citizens are better prepared now to save lives because many of them are armed themselves. And gun deaths are not rising because of the AR-15. There's a third reason. The AR-15 is not the most commonly used gun in murders in the United States. Do you realize that? You see, statistics tell us that handguns were involved in the majority, 64% of shootings, of U.S. gun murders and manslaughters. 64%. That's according to the FBI. Now, rifles, the category that includes many guns that are sometimes referred to as assault weapons, they were involved in only 4% of them. Now think about that, 64% versus 4%. Shotguns were used in 2%. The remainder of gun homicides, well, 30% involved firearms that were classified as other guns or types not stated. And number 4, a fourth reason, a ban of the AR-15 will not put less of them in the hands of bad people. It will put more of them in the hands of bad people. You see, there's over 16 million of them out there. Take them away from the good guys, attempt to take them away, and the bad guys will be better armed than ever before. Even when there was a ban on them, multiple thousands of them were manufactured and sold, some on the black market. My friend, you cannot more successfully ban the AR-15 and other rifles like them than the country could successfully keep alcohol out of the hands of citizens during Prohibition times. And the last and most important reason why we should not ban the AR-15 and other guns like it, the Second Amendment gives me and you the right to bear arms. And my friend, may I remind you, long guns were the choice weapons of that time. And the idea that, well, you do not need an AR-15 for the purpose of hunting may be cute, but it's also forgetting the real reason why those men carried weapons was to protect and provide for their families' well-being. In those days, you see, the armory was where the guns were. So think with me. If you have the key to the armory, then you have control of the people. Not the people, but certain people. So our forefathers who believed in freedom, they believed in very much the right to arm them own selves so that they could have the key to their freedom, so that they could have the opportunity to protect their loved ones and themselves as well. So my friend, I know that emotions get high in these days. And I know it's very easy to think, just ban a certain type of gun and we won't have the problems we have today. But my friend, why would you penalize the millions of people out there who are good people and believe it's their right to protect their own families and their own well-being by carrying a concealed weapon or even using an AR-15 if it comes to it? Well, this is Charlie Crimebuster. We've been talking about should you ban the AR-15. Love to know your thoughts about it. You can reach us at charliecrimebuster.com. Leave us a comment. And until this time next time, when once again we'll be bringing you news that you can use and tips to keep you and your family safe, may I remind you, stay safe, stay alert, because the life you save, it may very well be your own.